Now, there are three stories to our life. There's a story that we write, the story that's being written through us, and the story that we co-write with God. The story that we write translates as to us as personality, seeking out purpose and fulfillment. It's determining what we want for our life, and we go after it. We're writing that beautiful story. Then there's a story that's being written through us, and this is by the grace of God. And it's often not the exact story that we intend to write, but it's always for our benefit. And then there's a story that we can co-write with God. And this comes when we consciously surrender to this story that's being written through us, and when we live from a place of love, thought, and free will. Now, upon coming into this life, there's one thing that I knew for sure that I wanted. I wanted to become a mom. And so in 2012, my husband and I are ready to start having a family. And so I start writing this beautiful story. This is probably when I'll get pregnant. This is when the due date's going to be. This is how I'm going to tell my family and friends. This is how they're going to react. This is, this is when I'm going to take off from work. I was playing out this beautiful story. It takes me, we start trying. It takes me a few months to get pregnant. I get pregnant. 8 weeks into my pregnancy, we have our first appointment, and I get to see the little blip of the heartbeat on the ultrasound machine. And we're ecstatic, so we tell our family and some of our close friends. Then around week 9, something odd began to happen. I began to have these vivid dreams that something was wrong with a pregnancy. One such dream was I was in a hospital and I was looking through the nursery window, and a nurse comes up to me and asks me my name. I tell her, and she brings out this beautiful baby. And this baby and I, we look at each other, we're both smiling, and I feel this immense sense of love and connection. I know this is my child. And yet, I look at the tag on the bassinet, and the tag on the bassinet says that the birth date of the child is a year later. And this really confused me. Well, 2 weeks later, I have yet another dream, and in this dream, I'm bleeding, and I'm hoping everything's okay with my pregnancy. 2 days later, I have yet another dream that something is wrong with my pregnancy. I soon found out why. We go in for our 12-week appointment. We're excited. We're going to be able to hear our baby's heartbeat. And we go in, and the doctor searches for a heartbeat and searches and searches, and she can't find a heartbeat. So she takes me into a little ultrasound room, and I could tell by the look on her face that she's not seeing anything. She sends me to a bigger ultrasound place, and it's confirmed that I no longer have a viable pregnancy. And I'm devastated. What I didn't realize was that around week 9, around the time that I was starting to have these dreams, the heart stopped developing. Well, a light in my darkness came 2 days after finding out that I had this miscarriage. Before going to sleep at night, I opened up my eyes and I looked to my husband's side of our bed, and up from his silhouette floated these particles of light and color. So I watched these particles, and they float up from his silhouette, and they float into a shape of a heart. And it stays in front of me, and then it disappears. Now what this told me was that God knew, Spirit knew how devastated I was, how much I wanted this, how confused I was. But they wanted to let me know that there is love for me always, as there is for each one of us. We each experience our own set of suffering, but that there's love for us, and we are never alone. Well, despite feeling good about this experience, I still went month after month trying to get pregnant. I was desperate to get pregnant. I was driving myself crazy. I was thinking back to that time that I found out that I was no longer pregnant. I was thinking back to the time that I had to tell my family and my friends and see the looks on their faces, and each time it was like a dagger in my heart. This is where love, thought, and free will comes in. I had to believe in the love of God. I had to harness the power of my thoughts so they weren't causing me suffering. I had to take my free will actions in a way that not only benefited and healed me, but also other people, especially my husband, who was also suffering in his own way because of what happened. Well, after months of experiencing this, I made a very important decision. I surrendered to God. I surrendered to this plan. In fact, I remember writing in my journal these exact words: maybe my story's meant to be different. I didn't surrender all the way, though. I still held on to that desire on a regular basis that I wanted and needed to get pregnant again. But when I did surrender, something beautiful happened. I began to have dreams and messages within meditation that I would get pregnant. One such meditation, I I asked whoever was listening, when am I going to get pregnant? And I saw the number 2. And I said, okay, 2 months, 2 years, the second month of the year, what does that mean? And I saw the number 7. And the number 7 transformed into the number 9. And the number 9 stayed there for a little bit longer. What this told me, my impression was that, okay, well, maybe that means I'll get pregnant between the 7th month of the year and the 9th month of the year, between July and September, maybe closer to September because the number 9 stayed there longer. 3 weeks later, I have a vivid dream, and in this dream, my great-grandmother comes to me in my dream. And she's come to me before, and I feel this immense sense of love and connection and excitement, and I ask her a lot of questions, and including one of those questions was, will I get pregnant in September like I've been thinking? And I saw a cloudy yes. So I kept that with me. I said, okay, maybe that will happen. Fast forward August 20th, about a week shy of September, I say a prayer. And in this prayer, I asked to speak with a soul who would come in as my child. And I said one thing, when you're ready, I'm ready. That day I found out I was pregnant. And 9 months later, we had our first child. Now I was just starting to get a glimpse of what it means to co-write our story with God, what it means to surrender, what it means to have love, thought, and free will to our advantage, not only to get through times of challenge, but to start to create a life of our choosing. But I didn't know enough yet. 2 years later, we decided to try for our second child. So after a few months, I get pregnant. Fast forward 12 weeks, 13 weeks along, 14 weeks along, I found out I needed to have another procedure done. This too wasn't going to work out. And I again was devastated. But this time I knew more. Now I completely surrendered this time. The most beautiful part of this story is that then a little over a half a year later, before waking up, I have this vivid dream. And in this dream, I'm looking at a positive pregnancy test. And the positive on the test transforms into the crystal clear words, healthy pregnancy. That morning I got up and found out I was pregnant. And 9 months later, we had our second child. Now, in hindsight, I believe that God says to each one of us before we come into this life, now, beloved soul, you have chosen to come into this life, and it's a gift. You've chosen to experience a certain set of challenges and times of suffering. But beloved, know this. I have given you everything that you need to see yourself through these times of challenge, to create a life of your choosing, and I will be with you every step of the way. Now, we each have experienced our own set of challenges in our life, but what we all have is this empowerment of love, thought, and free will. So then, when we integrate love, thought, and free will in our life, when we live from good intentions, a loving heart, a solutions mindset, and we take actions that benefit both us and others, we instantly align ourselves with the flow of life, meaning we're able to go with the flow better. It's really incredible. So here's what I really want you to come away with knowing today. I want you to know what's possible for you. That no matter how busy your life has been, no matter how crazy your life seems, no matter the challenges that you have had to experience, that you have all that you need at this very moment to create a life of greater joy, peace, purpose, passion, fun, adventure, whatever you wish your life to be. What most people at the end of their life regret is not that they failed others or even God, but that they failed themselves. I don't want anyone coming to a point where they say, I could have, would have, and should have. We have the opportunity right now to declare what we want our life to look like and then start taking the steps to live that life. So go out and do what is in your heart always. Ask for guidance and you will receive it. Focus on the solutions that are always available to you, and by all means, create a life of your choosing.